Welcome to Cisco Tech Beat, the podcast that explores the people and stories behind what inspires the newest innovation. I'm your host, AB, and I'm thrilled to welcome my man ZK, Zeus Kerravala, who is the founder of ZK Research and a leading technology industry analyst. ZK gives a lot of advice and guidance to companies on emerging tech trends, whether that's networking, you name it, AI. He knows what's going on. So ZK, welcome to the show.
Yeah, great to be here. Really excited about this.
Absolutely. Industry analysts play a really important role in terms of informing technology leaders and the industry in general. Just give us an example as to what it really means to be an analyst.
Well, there's a bunch of different kinds of analysts. There's some that actually track market data. They're really numbers focused. I tend to be more on the qualitative side, where I tend to look at the leading and bleeding edge of technology, look around the corner,
Right.
and advise companies on how to on what to do next. And so I've actually got four audiences I serve. Vendors like yourself, helping them put their product strategy together, understanding what customers are looking for, where the gaps are.
Sure.
But I also advise a lot of end user companies as to what technologies they should be buying and how they should go through their decision process.
Right.
And then also there's the reseller community. That's why I like coming to Partner Summit.
Right.
And they're always concerned about a lot of the same concerns you have, but they're more on the practitioner side. And then, of course, I do a lot of work with Wall Street as well. So,
no doubt.
Yeah. The Wall Street interesting too, because they get these press releases for companies like yourself where everyone says they're solving world hunger, and they're like, "Is this real? Is it not?"
Yeah,
so
right.
I help them cut through the noise.
That's really nice. So you kind of give them a much more balanced perspective of what's happening.
If you want to think about, the technology ecosystem, there's people that sell it, there's people that make it, there's people that buy it, and there's people that invest in it. I kind of sit at the middle of those and help the constituents understand the trends based on the fact that I have an ear into all those different constituents. So,
that's great. That's perfect. I love that. I love that explanation. So there's been an explosion of interest in the AI infrastructure and really like investing in it. Why is that happening? What do you see in that realm?
Well, actually, I talked to Yahoo Finance about that today, right? It's when you look at the earnings calls, it just, from all the AI companies, it's exploding.
Right.
And I think, and so just to give me a sense of my background, I actually started as an IT practitioner, as a CIO. And I did that in the era when the internet was growing. And there's a lot of parallels to it, AB. And when you think about Cisco back then, John Chambers used to run around talking about how the internet would change the way we work, live, run, and play. AI is having the same impact. It's really becoming infused into every aspect of our life.
Right.
Kids use it for school. Businesses use it to help forecast. I just talked to one of the resellers. Their entire BDR function is now done with virtual agents, right? And it's changing society. And the demand for compute in network infrastructure today is insatiable.
Yeah, I would say.
You can't get enough of it. And I think when you think of the typical hockey stick adoption of technology,
right,
I think we're still at the blade. I don't think we've even hit that shaft.
So
This to me, this is a decade-long transition.
Sure.
Much like the internet was.
Right.
Where, and it's funny because I was talking with G2 and Aruna about this. Cisco does their AI summit.
Right.
I said, if you're still doing the AI summit in 5 years, you failed at what you're trying to do at the summit. Just because we don't go to internet conferences anymore, we don't go to web conferences.
That's right.
It's just baked into what we do.
Right.
AI is becoming the same way, but most companies aren't ready today, which is why you see such interest in infrastructure, because they have to modernize in order to get there.
That's right. I mean, it's something like only 13% of companies feel like they're even ready to integrate AI in their infrastructure.
Well, part of the problem is, what is AI, right? And I did a CIO workshop a couple months ago. I had 30 CIOs, and I asked them, who's got AI projects? Everyone put up their hand.
Right.
And then when I went around the room and asked, what are you doing, what are you doing, what are you doing? I got probably 2/3 said Microsoft Copilot. And that's not really an AI project.
Yes,
that's simply that's an application that uses AI, but I don't look at that the same way as a hospital that's using AI to diagnose MRIs. Right. Or a warehouse that's using AI, autonomous vehicles to automate forklift operations and things. And so I do think there's a lot of confusion about what AI is and what it isn't.
Right.
Just like back in the internet day. In fact, I remember when I was an IT pro, my boss coming to me, the CEO, saying, we have to have an internet strategy.
Right.
And I said, what does that mean? I was at a bank. Do you want to put statements online? Do you want online trade? No, we don't want any of that stuff. What do you want? I don't know. We just have to have an internet strategy.
We just have to have it, right?
So you hear a lot of that today. And so, the confusion, I suppose, is to be expected because it is so new. that'll get worked out. But to answer your question, there is just, again, this massive demand for compute and network infrastructure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're talking about companies, you've mentioned a few names, but when we think about what's happening with AI, certain names always pop up over and over again. I wanted to talk about who the main players are in that space, and then where do we fit in, Cisco, within that competitive landscape?
If you ask most people who are the AI companies, they're going to tell you Google Gemini,
right.
OpenAI,
right.
Perplexity, companies like that.
Right.
And what's been fascinating to watch is the intertwining of silicon, the AI companies, and cloud.
Right.
Right. And so you can use, say, OpenAI in Amazon running on Franium, right? Or you can run, Perplexity in Google running on NVIDIA. Right. And so, but the coming together of silicon, cloud, and AI has been pretty interesting to watch. Right. Now, where Cisco plays, Cisco is the underlying infrastructure that drives a lot of the stuff. Now, I think the reason I think the best is yet to come for Cisco is because I think what we're doing today with AI is we're kicking the tires. And so we're using it in isolation. We're doing small pilots with it. But eventually, we're going to start connecting these AI systems to one another across the data center, across cities, across the country, and across the globe. And when you do that, the network, as G2 calls it, is the force multiplier for AI.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's true. I just think that it really hasn't, we haven't started that wave yet. But if you just think about the impact that AI has had on the silicon industry, right? It's completely redefined it. It's redefined compute, and it's going to redefine networking and security. And that's when Cisco's big opportunity is going to come.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you're excited about it because we're really in its infancy, right? It's like it's just beginning. So that's really cool. Is there anything specific about Cisco that you think, I know it's the networking company and that's really the force multiplier. Is it just that gives it the potential, or are there other things that are unique to it that you think it can do maybe a little bit more well-rounded than others, or what is it?
Yeah, well, Cisco's more than networking. It's got a whole, a completely revamped compute stack. It's got, I think what makes Cisco unique, especially in the world of networking, is its size and scale, right? And when you think about distribution channel, I think Tim Coogan, or it was Oliver that put a slide up today that showed it's over 500,000 Cisco partners, right?
Yeah.
And so if AI is going to scale, it's not going to be Cisco or NVIDIA that make it scale. It's going to be that big partner community that's trained to help customers think through the processes of what they want to do. And so I've interviewed a bunch of partners here. They all talk about selling outcomes, helping customers think through their projects, advising them where to do it. And no one's got more of an ear there than Cisco does. And if you look at why NVIDIA has been so high on partnering with Cisco, right? It's, the technology is part of it, but it's that distribution channel.
Yes, that partner ecosystem.
Yes, that's very, very unique to Cisco. And so I think, I think from a Cisco perspective, this audience that's here is really the magic that makes Cisco go and allows you to scale globally. Like, so Cisco, there's not a country Cisco can't bring AI to. Right. And even a lot of the work it does in some areas that never get enough the spotlight, like Guy Diedrich's CDA organization.
Absolutely.
And they're on the ground floor with a lot of countries helping them think through the modernization process at a country level. Right. And we don't really understand that in this country because all our innovation comes from enterprise. When you go to the UAE or you go to Singapore, or Asia Pac, places like that, innovation is led from the government down. Right. And so the work Cisco's doing on the ground there pays big dividends later. And so, it's just there's not another network vendor that can match Cisco's size and scale. And that's, and that's why it's got such a big partner community. And that's really what makes it unique. And
it's funny you're mentioning networking because I know that with AI, a lot of people really focus on compute and
the GPU.
The GPU, right? Yeah. And I've heard you say this, but often people kind of forget about networking and the importance of it. Just give us a quick elevator pitch. Why is it important to really consider the networking aspect of the AI thing?
Well, even NVIDIA will tell you the network's important. And what this comes down to is the unit of compute, the definition of it's changed. It used to be a processor or a server, right? And then we were able to rack mount a bunch of servers, and our unit of compute became one rack.
Yeah, right.
And then it became one data center. Well, now from an AI perspective, we don't have enough horsepower in a single data center. So now we got to start connecting those data centers. And so how do I connect GPUs to each other? How do I connect servers to each other? How do I connect things across a data center, across a campus, and across the globe? And I do that with the network.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
And it's an easy way to think about it, that GPUs are really expensive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right? And if I can't feed those GPUs with data fast enough, then whatever ROI I'm hoping to get is going to be wasted. Right?
Yeah.
And so what feeds the GPUs? The data. Well, the network does.
Absolutely.
Right. And so if I'm going to have fast processors, i.e. GPUs, I need to have an equally fast network.
Absolutely.
Because if the network's not keeping up, those GPUs aren't being maxed out and I'm wasting money.
Yeah, it's like having a race car, but you can't leave the driveway, you know?
yeah. Or driving on a 101.
Or driving I love that description.
Yeah.
Though. So a lot of businesses are trying to future-proof, with regard to AI, right?
Yeah, we don't know what the world's going to look like, but we're trying to future-proof.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. We're still trying to figure out AI. But if you were to have a spotlight where and I know you do this anyway, but if you were talking to leaders now and you wanted to kind of look ahead and give them advice as to, how to build robust, scalable AI infrastructures, what would be your top 3 things, not necessarily in order, but that they need to really consider?
Yeah, I think this is where IT agility becomes important because you just don't have the time to cross every T and dot every I
right.
before you make a decision. And so you need to have that underlying IT platform needs to be highly agile, and it needs to let you and open. And so it needs to let you bring in different components and upgrade when you need to. And so the days of these vertically integrated stacks that were closed and proprietary, and I can name some vendors. In fact, Cisco used to be one of those.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't serve the needs today anymore because you can't move fast enough. And so, for advice, I'd say you pick a partner, right? Make sure that they're open and they're willing to work with other companies because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the only way you can guarantee interoperability down the road is through open systems. And so make sure your partner's open. What I would also like to see is the partner you're working with having used AI themselves and transform their own organization. In fact, that's one thing I'd like to see Cisco do more of. Cisco's got a lot of use cases. Like Liz Santoni talked about how 90% of Cisco's customer service cases are not handled by AI.
Right.
We'll turn that around and make it customer facing. Because if you're not eating your own dog food, right, why am I going to trust you with my deployment? I don't want to be your first.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
And so, I think, insisting on openness and then, leaning on the partner and the vendor to be able to provide actual insights and experiences to the projects that they've done to transform their own organization is going to help me transform mine.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sage advice. Listen.
I mean, the Cisco AI Readiness Index was interesting because it said only 13% of companies are getting measurable ROI. And what I take away from that is 13% of companies are getting measurable ROI. So it's there.
Yeah, right.
And so those 13% really need to become almost lighthouse accounts for Cisco to be able then to take out and show the world what's possible. Cisco used to do that a lot with, back in the voice over IP. I remember Bank of America, Ford, things like that.
Right.
Were very good examples of what's possible. And so I actually think once customers start to see what's possible, then that's when you start to get the scale. I think back to the days of like online banking.
Yeah.
Most of the big banks were opposed to it.
Right.
They didn't want their customers using the internet. They want to come in the branch. Then you had a handful of smaller ones that were a little more agile and they push the entire industry that way.
Right.
And I think you'll see the same thing here. But we need is those lighthouse accounts to prime the pump, and then you're really going to see this industry take off, and that's exciting for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's an exciting time to be, in this industry.
Yeah, sure. I think it's going to create a big rising tide, and it's not just Cisco that's going to benefit.
Yeah.
Really, everyone that participates in infrastructure is going to see, a lot of opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
The question is, do they have the structure, in order to capitalize on it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Great advice. Well, ZK, so glad you were able to make this happen. Thanks again for stopping by, and I look forward to. Well, we're always running into each other. This is the first time we've actually sat down and recorded together. But thanks so much. For taking time.
Happy to be on again sometime. So
absolutely,
it's a fun topic, and I just as a former IT pro myself, boy, that would be a tough job today. Trying to keep up with all the stuff going on today.
Yeah,
it's not just it's not just AI. Like everything's becoming autonomous, and
absolutely,
a lot of the mixed mode reality, things like that. There's just there's so much possible today And it's a matter of just uncapping your imagination to think about what we could do.
That's right.
As opposed to what we can't do.
Yeah. The possibilities are like, who knows what we're going to be doing, but it's going to be something fun.
Yeah. 5 years from now when we do this, hope it'll be a virtual A, B, and C.
Yeah, that's right. While we're doing something else.
yeah. We can go golfing or something.
Or bike riding. Which I know you love biking.
Yeah, I'm a big cyclist. So
that's awesome.
Thanks,
hey, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Alrighty.